How about a tuba dent series? Welcome back to the House of Tone World Headquarters. My name is Wes Lee. I'm a professional band instrument repair technician. I started a YouTube channel to document my life in the trades.
Just flatten and reeds. Oh, we could do Morse code.
We're going to do a multi-part tuba series. Get really in depth with it. Let's jump on in. All right, what we've got here is your standard middle school tuba. Flapping toupee. Over here, dents all through the boot. Severe dents here. Braces that are pushed up. This one's actually broken away. Valve issues. Slides that don't really want to pull. Most of our damage has occurred on this outer branch. This is really flattened in. So I'm going to try a new technique that I've been thinking about right here on this before we pull it apart. But we're going to make this into a multi-part series and get pretty in depth with it. We're going to see if these slides have been sitting in penetrating oil for a couple of weeks. If they come out on their own, that's fine, but we are not opposed to using a hammer and a form. Okay, the first things that we're going to do is we'll get the slides pulled. Let's move the coffee. All right. That one doesn't want to move. Sometimes on these number 2 slides that are being stubborn, you can just feed your rag through. And there you go. It's number 3. Oh yeah, there it goes. The outside solder joints are broken, so the slide is really okay. And then, oh yeah, that one's not going to put up a fight at all. Okay, valve caps. We like to use the canvas, just like you're opening a mayonnaise or a pickle jar. Get the springs out. You just have to give them a little bit of a tap at an angle. Actually it's the quantity of hits, not the hardness of the hit. Those threads want to come back loose. You just have to kind of shake them. Get these. So now we've got the horn stripped down, so you can see what we've got. The guard is pulling off, so we're gonna take the guard off. We'll save it. This big dent, I want to try a technique that I've been thinking about. It's smashed in probably 2/3 of the way. I want to see if we can pull this back up some before we pull the boot off. Remove the lacquer that's right here so we can solder, and we'll just see how that goes. We'll see if this technique works or if it's a bust. You know, I had this mandrel made a couple of months ago. I made it almost 30 years without one of these, but it seems like I have used it every day. We're going to remove the finish that's in this spot. We're going to solder a post on right there and see if we can pull this back up. It'll be quick finding out whether it'll work or not. But you can't solder where there's finish, so you have to take the finish off. So we're going to use a Smith little torch. The sound you hear in the background is the oxygen concentrator. want to heat the rod more than the sheet brass. Solder's going to flow this way. So now if you'll put a hand on the horn, there's a shop built pair of vice grips on a slide puller or post razor. I use it for all sorts of things. We're going to get this locked in and we'll see. The premise is an old vintage car. When they would de-dent panels, they would actually drill holes. We're not going to do that. But we're just going to see if we can coax this dent up some. Okay. Now we've got these ridges, and this is, the dent is sitting inside of these ridges, so we want to, these ridges make creases. So we want to rough those out. So we're going to use a rawhide mallet. And what we're going to try to do is just get this crease to kind of lay back down. And you're noticing that I'm using rawhide, I'm not using steel, because you're not going to work harden this piece. It came off. We might go again with that. Let's do that again. That's coming up a little bit. You good? Go back in that same spot. It's going to want to, you're good. It's going to want to jump back into it. There you go. Get that to, yep. Did you hear it? Okay, and just hold what you got. There it goes. So we've come up about halfway on that now. And that's just going to make it easier to separate from. Okay. It's still deep, but it did raise it up some. All right. I'm going to neutralize that flux and clean this area up. To neutralize flux, we use baking soda water, a couple of tablespoons of baking soda to a bottle of water. We're going to heat and wipe, clean this up. We'll have to remove all of the bits of solder and the tinning before we do dent work, because this area, solder is much harder than straight brass. So the area has to be completely cleaned up. All right, we're going to go ahead and get our slides and pistons treated and get them ready for the chemical flush. Take the felts, top caps, and all that stuff off. I'm just hitting them with some good degreaser. Let them set as a pre-treat. So this is a cool shop-built tool that I got. If you're interested in seeing how I made this, then we can do that in one of the tool series. Just drop a comment or something. My post raising tool, really, there's not much to it. It's just a piece of brass rod, and then I ground away a place for the vice grips to come in and grab a hold to. I do try to clean the shop up as I go when I'm setting up for different operations. It's just kind of a holdover from when we were in a super small space. One new thing, I'm going to make this switch from the small tip on the torch. I found this tip. It actually puts out 4 flames. It's in a square pattern, and this is a beast. So it gets to a couple thousand degrees real quick. So we're just going to come at this bow guard, and we're just going to, since it's easy to lift off with a screwdriver, I'm going to go ahead and clean up, heat and wipe it now, since I've got the heat there. So I'm going to have Miss K really hold on to this section. You have to heat these up at the same time. So you want to go slow. But then you just want to heat one a little bit and then move over to the other one. Have a consistent rhythm with your moving. It'll start spitting solder at you. You just work it from side to side, and then it starts popping. And then it starts creaking. There it is. Now we'll go ahead and clean up the solder while we're here. And actually we're going to remove these braces as well. Heat, wipe, heat, wipe. Well, that was the easy part. So now we're gonna, this is the worst part, so let's go ahead and just start beating on this and see if we can open this up some. And then we'll send the, once we see what it's gonna do, then we'll go ahead and get it chem flushed, and that'll be that. Come over to the dent machine. So we wanna start whacking these creases some more. This form is not doing anything. I'm not hitting it at all. I'm just using it to hold the part. So now see if we can push down on it a little bit. Negative Ghost Rider. Got it to move a little bit then. There's going to come a point where we're going to have to go to get under this, and this dent is going to have to raise. But we want to try to use these creases to our advantage as long as we can. Oh yeah, we've got it about, it's coming back. It's a whole lot of hollow tap and flex. Hollow tap and flex. Follow the creases. Keep wanting it to give me a satisfying pop. Every dent is different. You can do 500 of these and they look the same, but they're all completely different. That one is going to be stubborn. Okay, so now I'm going to set up a ball and we're going to work off of that. You can't just go at it on the dent machine. You have to get it into a position to where you can utilize the dent machine. So you still have to do all of the handwork. You have to do all of the heavy liftings. It doesn't go away. The dent machine just helps you when you get to your end results. So this is a standard 3/4 rebound rod. Two sizes, half 13 on that side. I think this is a 3/8 thread on this side. But the ball, this is the most important thing. Instead of a round ball, this is the ball that Curtis Faree designed to go in the Saks Snake kit. And it threads onto here. Now this is barrel shape, the same shape that they make for the dent machine. However, this is smaller. And so now I'm going to try to use this as a keep running with that. So now I am directly hammering across the dent. I've worked these creases, I've brought this back to round, and I am now going to work this area. I'm going to use a rawhide mallet because I don't want to work harden the piece. Yeah, and that barrel shape will tell us when it wants to go back to a ball shape, and it's about there, so. Great. Well on our way now. By using a large ball, you won't affect the shape as much. But the downside is you don't have as much punch. So we kind of rough that out. I'm going to drop down to a medium. See if we can get the The brass is just going to kind of tell you what it wants to do. And your job is to figure it out, what it's trying to tell you. It doesn't want to go too far in any one direction. I'm going to shift to a canvas hammer because it's so much harder than the rawhide. It's almost, it's really closer to a plastic hammer. And what I'm doing here is I'm tapping creases. When the dent pushes in, it squashes out another part, right? And so I want to tap these creases. Before I touch it with steel, I want to try to get this as smooth as I can, using materials that are softer than brass so that I know that I'm ensured that I am not work hardening the piece. I see that in the comments all the time. Am I concerned about work hardening? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. It's your job to know the difference between. The better job that I can do with the soft tools means that when I employ the dent machine, I'm not having to exert nearly as much force. It's also the sound. When you hear a sound like this, you're not on the ball. Not on the ball. When it smacks, you're on the ball. And you get that ting, ting, ting. And I just love these canvas. Faree's came out with this larger size, and this has been I really like it. Now, you can see that I've got this crease right here and on this side, looking like it wants to buckle. So now we're going to take an actual dent hammer and we're going to push this back. This crease is in direct proportion to this dent. It's that blow. And so we're going to start working this crease out even before we start working on this dent. And it's not these creases, it's this specific crease. One there and one there. And you see how they tie into that dent? So I'm going to take a broad dent hammer. And if you'll remember from the dent hammering videos, it's called a hammer, but it's a chaser. And we're chasing that dent out. Not hitting it hard, I'm like glancing blows, and I'm pushing that brass. I'm not gripping it tight. And then I'm just gonna come in and work that crease. You can see how the crease is laying down versus the other side. Other side. What I'm doing now is I want to see that my curvature is about the same on both sides, that my part is coming back round. I don't want to overstretch it. I just want to bring it back slow. And if I were to take a string, or if I had a form, I would be able to lay across this, and it's all going to be nice and square and round. So this is really getting to be pretty good. A lot of times under the boot, this is very soft. This is where the seam. I'm just going to rough this out while we're here on this side. So then we'll just do the same thing on this. That was the satisfying thump that I wanted to hear earlier. See, I'm just pushing through it. And I'm at the deepest part of the creases. Remember, so you got to change your angle. If you can't find your spot where the ball is, you can just take a little magnet and you can feel where it's at. And then make a mental note in your head, find a relation. So this ball is directly in front of this, so I can cheat and I can kind of know that I'm in that area, right? So there's cheats for all that. Hammer the creases, work the dent. Rinse and repeat. So here is our roughed out bell bow. We're now ready for the dent machine. I got a couple other little spots that I'm going to clean up. But overall, it's ready for the dent machine and to be burnished and smoothed out. So we resurrected it. It's not work hardened, it's not brittle, and it's not rotten. And those are the things that you're worried about. I'm going to go ahead and get the body and the pistons and the slides chemical flushed. So I'm not going to bore you with all that, but degrease, soap, lime scale remover, rinse. Whatever the chemicals that you use for that, it has to have those things. Degrease it, soap. That's the only thing that kills all the stuff. Soap. Soap it, scrub it, lime scale remove it. Right? Cool. Hey, thanks for joining in today. Appreciate you following along. This will be part 1, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for dropping by. This is Wes Lee, signing out.